Well, good evening, and here we are on Good Friday. I once had a professor ask, what is the worst thing that humans have ever done? And it was a theology class, and so looking back now, I know that that's a ridiculous question because best and worst are not actual theological categories. But regardless, the discussion went on, and some people said, the Holocaust. Some people said slavery, some people said this, and we were remembering all these horrifying things that humans had done. And at the end, the professor said, those are all really good, examples of humanity being terrible. They're not good things, but they're good examples, I guess. But he said the worst thing humanity ever did was we crucified Jesus, because it was God becoming human, God writing a part into the human story for God, and the way we as humans responded was to execute God in a horrifyingly violent, torturous way. And that is the worst thing that humans have ever done. God becomes flesh, is born in a manger, comes and starts teaching us the way of life, and we get so upset by this that we kill him. So today is Good Friday, when we remember that moment. Have you ever looked around at the world and seen something, an injustice of some kind, and just thought, man, that ain't right. That just ain't right. That is not right. It is wrong. It could be racism. It could be misogyny. It could be patriarchy. It could just be someone cut you off and took your parking space in a grocery store. All of these things, you're just kind of shaking your fist and you're like, that ain't right. That is not right. I think today is a good day to sit with all of that injustice, to sit with the racism still prevalent in society, to sit with all these systemic structural issues, and also just all the ways that we look around the world and say, that ain't right. And today's the day where we look at all that. I read recently that the average net worth in America of a white high school dropout is higher than the average net worth of an African American college graduate. That makes me weep. That is horrifying. That is unjust, and it ain't right. And today is a day where we sit with that. Because today is the day that we remember that humans killed God. God came to earth preaching a message of love and peace, and we killed him. And so today is a day where we can sit and hold in ourselves this idea that that ain't right, that this world isn't the way it should be, and we killed Jesus and we laid him in a tomb. Now, I heard recently that you can picture there's a long tradition of seeing the tomb as like a womb. And even as the tomb is a place of death, it also can be a place of life. And we'll get to that more on Easter Sunday when we proclaim the resurrection, when we see the redemption in it all. But today is a day where we see where we failed and where the society around us completely fails. And we see all the ways in which that ain't right. And we sit with that. And while we're sitting with that, while we're recognizing that it ain't right, that this world is not the way it should be, that we do each other wrong, we do ourselves wrong, and we do God wrong. Today, as we say that ain't right, and we shake our fist at God or whatever, we need to know that all of that injustice, all of that oppression, all of that inequity, all of the ways that that ain't right was inflicted violently upon the body of Jesus. And we killed him. And so as we sit and we shake our fist, as we sit and we just weep and mourn at the ways that this world just ain't right, we also know that Jesus sits beside us. weeping alongside us, mourning alongside us, shaking his fist alongside us, saying, oh, I know it ain't right. And he knows it because he shows us the holes in his hand, the holes in his feet, the piercing of his side, the funeral cloths that were around him, the shrouds that they put. He has in his body the evidence of the ways that this world just ain't right. And so instead of trying to instantly turn and make it better, instead of trying to put a positive spin on it, on this Good Friday, we sit with that. It ain't right. It ain't right. It ain't right. Amen.